In the previous video on this Olympic combo unit, we discovered that the AM/FM tuner has silver mica disease. Neither AM or FM worked. There was a whole bunch of static on AM. We could see the arcing inside the IF can with night vision. I think we should attack this. I think we should repair this. We know that the IF transformers, at least in the AM, need the silver mica surgery. So I'm going to get it out. It also needs electrolytics. I was using this. I did some cosmetic painting and stuff to it. I got it cleaned up pretty nice. The electrolytic did fail. It blew up, it smoked, and then it started humming. So I'll do the electrolytics. I'll get the first IF can out, and we'll pick up right there with silver mica disease surgery. And we'll get the AM and FM working on this tuner again. This is a Fisher receiver, which is definitely much more desirable with the vintage audio community than what we're working on. But if you look, it uses the same exact automatic IF cans that are all going to have silver mica issues. That's why this video is much more relevant than just to this specific receiver. Check this out where the capacitor puked. So anyway, I might cut it off the top. I don't want to spend a lot of time on recapping. There's plenty of videos doing that. I want to get into these IF cans. Okay, the electrolytic recap is complete. As you saw there, I cut the old one out of circuit, except I got that wire terminated right here. I got our electrolytics. I'm not trying to do a great job on this because it's kind of a piece of crap, but I got all 3 electrolytics replaced. I did have to solder this because I started using that as the ground, and you should not depend on a rivet for grounding. So 150 watt iron looks good on the recap. Now we got to deal with the IF transformers. This transformer sure has lost a lot of tar. I don't really like that, but it hasn't failed yet. I labeled the IF transformers, and I'm taking them out. I'm going to use the air pressure method, which makes a mess, but quick and dirty. I don't know if this is going to be bright, but let's power it up before power is applied. I got one speaker hooked up here. It's on AM. Okay, that's on phono. That's AM, right? Stand by.
East LA interchange over to right and
well, now it's sort of working on AM, but we know the IF can's bad. We heard it and could see it arcing last time. Well, now FM's working a little bit. But that's a volume all the way up. Well, regardless of whatever, we need to do silver mica surgery on it. Here's the one that was arcing out, and you can see it has the rivet in the bottom of it, so that's going to be a little bit of a bitch. So the 2 is next to the green. Not good. The first thing I should say about this is the good thing is this has never been aligned. So we can just figure out how to get these capacitors out of here. The problem is if I cut this, if I drill that rivet out, I think that holds the whole thing together. So yeah, drilling that rivet out, I don't know. That might be a no-go. I got to think about that. That rivet's brass for a reason, too. Another note, this says Automatic Manufacturing Company Corp. Automatic Manufacturing Corp. So these are junk. In the interest of time, I drilled it, but now the problem is, see these pins, that's what held these pins down. So, or the pins that come out of it, that's what held them down. So I want to try and get the wafer out of there, and we'll measure it with a cap tester. Here's the capacitor. You can see the silver mica disease. It's really bad. They are not the same value. They do not look like the same value. The one up here at the top where my finger is looks bigger. Let me turn it over. Yes, the one is bigger than the other. Bigger value. That's the capacitor, that silver crap, and then the mica wafer in between makes up a capacitor. I marked it. See the yellow streaks there in the corner? They match up with right there. So the bigger one was on this side. So let me see if I can measure. Not quite sure what to do with those, though. Cut them off and put some silicone on them? I don't know. So the silver migration, wow, it's bad if you look at it. It's like all eaten up. But it looks like it's arcing from, this is one capacitor, this is the other capacitor. It looks like it's arcing across from the primary to the secondary. I might have to cut that. I might have to cut that apart and measure the capacitor. Well, despite looking different, they seem to measure about the same. So say 150. I don't know, it's hard to tell. No, these damn mosquitoes, man. Why they keep counting up, I don't know. So that one's measuring, say, 100, just say 175. This is the bigger one that I'm going to measure now. So say 165 and 175. This is pretty accurate. We're going to have to do this with trimmer capacitors, though. I think we're going to have to do this with trimmer caps because these things are so corroded. Yeah, this isn't going to work. All right, if I do it like this, where I sandwich it between, with all the stray capacitance, I get 139 on that one. That is the bigger one. And on the smaller one, I'm getting 145. That seems more reasonable. On this one, the larger side measures 105. Smaller side measures 101. I think this thing is more accurate. All right, testing it on this thing. It tests, both sides test like about a bad 110. You know, a lossy bad 110. Yeah. Which is about what these usually are. They're usually about 110. Actually closer to 120, because this is 120 mica. And look at that nice eye opening. Look at that. I think it's going to just be kind of a comparison thing. Back to this. I'm sort of starting to figure this out. These capacitors, look at that, are just so bad. I mean, they're not only leaky and arcing, but they're just so lossy. This is how I cut the little tabs down so that they wouldn't touch. And I could put some silicone there to hold them, but I don't know. Let me think about that for a minute. I don't want to do anything that could become capacitive or make it hard to work on the transformer. If I just put a little dot of I don't know. I think it'll be okay. Once it's installed, it won't move. We'll put the capacitors on the bottom. I should really do the FM at the same time, because see how I would have to desolder less. You know, I could leave that 100K resistor, and I could leave the red wire and the other wire, because they connect together. They're stacked. All I'd have to do is take off the green wire and the red wire. This is the first FMIF, and this is going to be very tricky because there's not enough room to push the rivet out the top. This is like microsurgery. The FM one is very tough. So this is an FM right here. This is the FM. You can see the silver migration. It's all this black shit. Right? That's not supposed to be there. And here's the AM. You can see how much bigger the capacitors are in the AM. So on the FMs, these are the steps I go through. First thing I do is I drill the head off the rivet down here at the bottom. Then I move these wires out of this little zigzag pattern on one side. See the little wire, move it out of there. And then this is just, this part right here, right there is just latched in. So I pop it out and I tip it. Then I pull the plastic up, this plastic piece, I pull it up as far as I can. And I push the rivet up into the tube here. Then I cut the rivet in half with a pair of diagonal cutters, and I can get it apart. It's tough. So you see what I mean? If you move those wires out of the holder, you got enough room to get that out of there. Then after I get this out of there, I slide the mica wafer out, and then I lift up the tabs and cut them. Here's some of what's left over. All the IF transformers. Well, the first, I didn't do the FM discriminator detector transmitter Yeah, I didn't do the FM output transformer yet, but let's do the first two, AM and FM. I also ohmed out all the resistors and all the IF transformers, and I did break one wire and one IF transformer I had to repair, so everything's good on the ohm meter here. I'm on AM, I got it powered up. Let's see what it does with no capacitors in the IF cans. I'm going to run the tuning here. Well, I hear radio stations in there, so... Okay, this is FM. Nothing. Do you have thyroid eye disease? Huh? Do you have thyroid eye disease? Well, I'm checking all of these. I've got all of them here. And I can only really read. So the one we were looking at earlier that was around 100 was the first AM IF, no, the second AM IF transformer. The first AM IF transformer, those are the two AM ones right there. The first, the one that says A1 on it, I can only read one side of it. And the FM ones, I can only read one side of them. I mean, this side of this one, all I get is, see if I can turn this off. That's it. So that seems to be around, I don't know, 22 maybe. I don't know how accurate this is. We're going to have to do this all by comparison, because a lot of this stuff just isn't accurate at this low of a capacitance. So that's what I get on that side. Now I'm going to take it and flip it around. Yeah, there it is on the other side. And you can see here I can almost get a full eye opening, but still, these things are shot. These are garbage. And I'm sure someone has already posted a comment. Why don't you measure the inductance and then do the mathematical calculation? No. Nobody's going to do it like that. Nobody's going to get an accurate measurement of a variable inductor and then do the math and have it come out right. It's just not going to happen. This video needs to be practical for anybody to do this. And this is about the most practical way I thought of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the variable trimmers on the bottom. We'll set it all up. If you were doing this yourself, I would just leave the variable trimmers. But I'm not. I'm going to pull them out and measure them and I'll pull the variable trimmers out, measure them, get the value, compare them to fixed capacitors, put fixed capacitors in there, then go back and align it with the slugs. These are Arco 425 ceramic trimmer capacitors. They are about 30 to 200 picofarads. I have 4 of them for the AM. These are, I don't know what the brand is, but they're basically 10 or 5 to 70 picofarads. I have 4 of these for the FM. First thing I'm going to do is measure the value on one of these and get it dialed in here. The one that seems to measure the best. I don't think they're all the same value, but they sure look like it. So I'm going to measure this, get this dialed in, and then hook these up. and adjust them to match. And the AM seemed to be around 110, 120, and the FM seemed to be around 22 to 33. Because this is a stacked IF system, they do interact, so you don't want to put the FM there and align it and then go back and do the AM later. You want them kind of in the zone. They need to work together. I got these all adjusted to 110 or about. I got these adjusted to 33. Now to install them. Okay, here we go. Are you down with Rebelsis?
California might be running out of areas where you can find a cheap home. Right now, though, the Georgia Special Grand Jury report looking into the...
Well, that's good when you turn it on and it comes up with KNX.
Senator Lindsey Graham, as well as the state's 240 analyst and professor at the Emory University.
Not very awake. Okay, let's align it using the micro signal generator. We'll just do 455. Let me set this up. 455, negative 37,000 hertz. It's not very sensitive because I got it hooked directly to the... So let's see what happens here. Well, it was more than 110. Waking up. Well, that one was close to 110. No, that one was quite a bit less than 110. So one of these was measuring 50, and I thought that was an issue with the silver mica disease. Anyway, that might have been this one. So let's continue. Let's disconnect that from there, and now I'm just going to put it on the insulation so it's not directly coupled, and then we'll crank this up. Well, we got a DXer now. See how critical those are? Okay, I'm going to say it's good. Now I think what we do next is we align the FM, which is going to be a bitch because these little things are like impossible to turn. They're like so tight that you try and turn them, it just bends the leads. Let's see how it performs.
여기는 작은 회의실과
I think I'd expect a little bit more out of it.
就说
Sotto retiro.
되게 그 시골 소녀는 런던 지금 선거가 치러지면 consecuencia, es decir, que respondemos a esa llamada del Señor.
See if it'll pick up 660 KTNN. This might be it. This is it. Hear it? Hear it? How you can hear the humming by how far off it is. This is not zero beated with. You can hear the hum, it's like 60 hertz. But this is KTNN, Voice of the Navajo Nation. Okay, this is FM.
River Cabana and $20 in slot play for as low as one.
Oh yeah, you're never gonna get it. Sounds good. It's very weak though. Okay, we'll align the FM tomorrow. Then once we get the FM close... Ooh, Zombie by the Cranberries. Once we get the FM close, and we'll go back to the AM. And we'll kind of work back and forth. I still got to do this... Interesting how peaking that made it distorted. Real distorted. This thing really sounds good on AM. It is really loud now and it sounds really nice. Next thing to do is to align the FM. It's way off. We're going to use the meter. We're going to use the signal generator on 10.7. We simply go from point C to ground, which is across the stabilizing capacitor. We're going to align for maximum voltage. I am feeding into right here because the alignment is so far off I can't get a signal through. So on 9.8, I sort of get a signal through. .7, it's totally gone. So what I've had to do here, I went and got a tripod. It's because it's so far out of alignment. I've had to step back a stage, and I'm feeding into right here. So we're just going to align this one. Then we'll go backwards. No, I'm sorry. I'm feeding into right here. So we will align this one, which is the second one. I haven't recapped that one yet. We'll align that one. Then we'll come back and align this one. So we don't care about sound level here. We're after maximum voltage. You don't align this like the AM for maximum volume. Well, that is way too sensitive. I'm gonna have to go with a different capacitor. I can't. Yeah, these capacitors suck. Wow, it's way off. That's me adjusting the power level. Wow, that is so touchy. You're talking maybe 1 picofarad and it throws it way off. All right, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to move this to... Wow, it's just nothing getting through. Let's see, let's crank the power back up here. Wow, look at that. Yeah, these variable trimmers are junk. They're way too coarse, and I can't. Yeah, man. I'd like to get it close, that way I can go back and redo the... All right, I'm gonna pause this and get this stage aligned. Okay, I worked my way. I did this stage, then I went back and I fed into this stage. And now I got it so dialed in, I'm feeding into the antenna. And I've got really, really exceptional gain here. And you can hear that there's actually hiss. Now let's see with no antenna on it.
The enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports.
Picking up stations with no antenna on it. That's what I would expect.
Of more than 7 million football fans who have already
Let's see
signed
if it's distorted.
Now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/classic.
6:30 a.m. Don't have a TV business network. Hey, where did you get all that?
It's like totally overloading. That distortion might be a symptom of these two resistors, because this is what comes back and controls the gain. And those two resistors are right here, and they're not dividing the voltage in half. We'll get to that later. All right, well, now that we got the FM sort of in alignment, let's go back and do the AM. We can worry about the distortion problem later. Just gonna set this next to here. Let's see. Well, where did all our AM gain go? That out of there. So the question is, did adjusting the FM affect the AM? And a little tiny bit it did. They interact. I'm going to pull them out. We'll do the AM first. We'll measure them, and we'll try and get as close as we can fixed capacitors put in there. Once I get these big ones cleared out and fixed ones put in, I'm going to change the FM to these. These are much easier to turn, and they are... what are they, 8 to 50 picofarads instead of 10 to 70, so I'll be able to get a much more precision adjustment. Now, if I was just redoing this, if you were redoing this, you could just leave these just the way this is. There's no need to take these out and put fixed capacitors in there. Right now, it's just like an old radio. You could just leave this, and walk away and use the radio like this indefinitely. There's no reason to do what I'm going to do. I'm just doing it because I do what I do, because when I do it that way, that's the way I do it. Second one is right on 105 picofarads. Measuring it here, it's about 110. So I think about 110 is right. First one is 140 here. Measures 134 here. I'm going to do the rest of them. I'm not going to show each one. Okay, this makes sense because if you remember back from the beginning of this video, the mica wafers in the AM transformers did not look even. So these are the two different measurements from the two different cap testers. So basically we have on the front side about 135 picofarads. On the second side we have about 100 picofarads. So the capacitors are different in these things. These are what I picked up prior to this video just to kind of get it going. These are 100 picofarad, these are 120 picofarad, and then these are 10 picofarad. The reason why I selected that is so I can kind of bend it around and make it. Let me say this, let me make this clear. These are the wrong type of capacitors to use for this project. You should be using these, silver mica. These, I will use these, but they will drift with temperature. So I'm going to configure these and try and get as close to the value as I can. Now what I'm doing is I'm hand selecting capacitors to get as close as I can. There's the first one. There's the second one. All hand selected capacitors to try and get as close to the values I measured on the trimmer caps, and I used that mica on the right there because that's where the drift will affect the tuning the most. That's on the oscillator side. So I need to tighten that one up a little bit. That's a crappy solder. Well, I'm pretty damn close because when I powered it up, it was still on the Mexican radio, the Baja.
Remember, track near you. Visit Casper.com/stores. Save 20% now through September 12th. Save on Better S. Exclusions apply. See Casper.com/promo.
What happens when a legend leaves at the top of... With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Donate...
So now we need to go back and align the slugs. I did align the bottom cores. I don't know where the video clip went, but yeah, you want to align the top, then the bottom, then the top, then the bottom. You kind of just go back and forth until you get it peaked up. I don't know where that video clip went, but yeah, I did get the bottom. Also, I want to just measure the B plus here because there's no voltages on the schematic in case that power transformer does die. 285 on FM, same on AM. That's phono. So that's the first. Then the second is 238. Then the third is 112.
Staples Center, but I can remember.
So yeah, after you take and put your final capacitors on there, then you align the slugs. And you can use a screwdriver on these because the coil is inside the ferrite slug, if you remember. You see how many turns I had to turn a couple of those. So some of them were like, I was probably off 3 to 5 picofarads on the capacitors, and it was like 3 turns on the slug. So those capacitors are hypercritical that are in these transformers. Could you imagine if you just put 100 in the 130 area?
Tools, I think it was like 46 and as soon as rates dropped, causing some of the issues.
Here's our music station. So the AM is dialed in now. All of the FM ones seem to measure 25 to 27. I don't even know if I'm going to put the other ones on there. I changed out those crappy trimmers with these, and these are much, much, much easier to turn. And I should be able to get a much closer, although I think it is 25, but let's just do this. 10.7 megahertz. Oh man, there's nothing getting through right there. Okay, let me see if I can bring it in with these. Boy, that is a narrow window. I mean, maybe a couple picofarads. That is such a narrow window of... Alright, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to here. And then I'll align these two. And these are 8 to 50 picofarads. Let me get off these radio stations. You can hear how it woke up there. Boy, that is such a touchy adjustment. I'm going to have to get right on the money with these, like within a picofarad or two. Weird how distorted that is. I got a double hump too. But then if you take the antenna off, Is the AGC not working? That's this 1 meg resistor and then a 470K. Interesting. So if I cut that,
the center divider near Mulholland, and it's being moved off the freeway, so that's the reason for the slowdown. And speaking of the 101, Pete says that's the temperature in the area as well. Wow. Santa Clarita 5 South from McBean Parkway.
I wonder if
taken away till 4 p.m. We got a pothole repair project that's just.
I wonder if the last IF transformer I haven't done is so far off that the voltage is going the wrong way, if it's flipped on the positive and negative output. Could it? I think it can flip, can't it? I don't know. So with this cut, it sounds good. Because I know want no scrub. Do you know want no scrub? Who know want no scrub? Huh. Radio don't want no scrub. And I'm trying to understand that because something's not matching the schematic here. That capacitor that's in there, see that 1 meg right there I've cut? That comes back and feeds back to the grid of the FM-IF amp. So something don't want no scrub here. I better check these resistors because they don't want no scrub. This is K-Jazz. This is a very weak FM station. I think what I need to do is I need to do that last FM IF transformer. Then we can talk once I get it fully aligned. I just did some experimenting with hot swapping these capacitors for the FM. And I literally had the meter on and I changed it with the thing turned on, not touching anything except the capacitors. And I did a 27, a 22, a 25, and a 24. And 1 picofarad makes a huge difference on the FM. 1 picofarad. Now I realize we can adjust the core, but still that's how critical these things are. I was looking at this one from the top, and I was hoping I managed to get the can off of it. I was hoping to somehow do it from the top. That way I didn't have to terminate all the wires, and I think I might be able to. It does not appear there's a capacitor in this side. If I light this from the bottom, you can see there is no capacitor in this side, but there is a capacitor in this side. You can see the silver mica disease in it too. So maybe what I do is I take a Dremel and I just try and cut that one. It's not going to arc, but it's way off of value. I wonder if I could take a Dremel and just grind that off. That one pressure plate. Might be. It might be worth doing. You can see the silver migration there. This side there is no capacitor. The schematic is wrong again. But they don't know because these were supplied by a contractor. That's why the values are not on the schematic. Alright, wish me luck here. Yeah, there it is. Got it out. I don't know about this. Although that did it, man. That cleaned it right up. Listen to that.
Day and night, I toss
the silly game we play. Now look at this, subtracting me. I try to run, but see I'm not that fast.
Nobody can remote. Has a residual fear that people have been.
3% were vegan. 92% with weed use easy cater, while all but one respondent wants Steve from accounting to stop microwaving fish. Newsflash! Finding food that...
This song is dedicated.
Lo que tú crees que...
Oh, yeah. Little Luther Vandross for the bedroom. It sounds clean now. Except when I overdrive it with this low efficiency speaker. So the adjustment for this one is you use 200K resistors. Well, you use 200K resistors like this, and then you connect the meter from here to there. And you adjust for 0 volts with the signal generator putting 10.7 in. That essentially zeroes this out. So we need to do that, and then we should be able to swing it from a positive to negative voltage. Listen to K-Jazz now. It's clean. Just a second.
A country dance was being held in a garden.
Frank was a leader in doing away with any probs with civil rights, especially with fellow musicians. This was recorded in 1961 with a new president in Washington, JFK, who was helped in getting there by Francis Albert. This is just another example why I grew up just loving this man, his music, his beliefs. And was he a saint? Well, he was in training camp. Here's lots of trombones, including Kenny Schroyer on bass bone and Old Blue Eyes.
Without a song, the day would never end.
You just hear the compressor and the radio station kick in and flatten it out. So I got my 2 resistors. Now, if I got this right, we should be able to tune through a station and swing from positive to negative. So
The selling of natural resources. To restate what they said, that was the product of 100 years of political organizing by the left and by labor unions.
I think I got it pretty much dialed in right on.
Parties that have tremendous history of advance and success in Chile, and was just a
See how I can swing it from positive to negative? There's positive. There's negative. But I need to put the signal generator on it to zero it out. All right, 10.7 fed into the antenna terminals. We want to zero this out, remember. And look at how close I got it. 0.1 just by listening to the distortion. Okay, so I should be able to turn this capacitor and go positive, which I'm doing. And then I should be able to turn the capacitor and go negative. I'm doing. So what we want to do is it will go more positive than negative. We want to get it as close to 0 as we can. Or is that a touchy adjustment? Talking about probably a half a picofarad. Damn, that is touchy. That I'm probably going to have to put a mica in there. Man, I can't even... Should have been happy with it where it was. I think I got it closer by... Damn, this is touchy. Come on, baby, work with me. I think we're going to have to go with that. And so you should be able to do the same thing here, swing it from positive to negative. See, there it went positive at 10.8. Right back to 0 at 10.7. And negative at 10.6. This is how you know it's working right. This is how you know that this FM detector circuit is working right when it's balanced like this. On here, it's measuring 48, almost 49. So, of course, there's a 47 and a 50 picofarad. I have both of those in silver mica. Let me go grab them and we'll tack them in and see which one's closest to 0. So I just stuck a 50 in there. A lot of stray capacitance with those leads. I get negative 1.192. I went to a 51, negative 1.165, the same. I went to a 47 at 10%. Get me closer. Something's up. I went to that. I changed to a different 47. I'm at positive 0.1, so that's really close. That's how critical this is. So should I put a 5% 50 in there and align it, or the 47 at 10%? So is the 10% the amount of drift, or is the 10% the tolerance from the factory? Because if it's the tolerance from the factory, a hand-selected 10% would be pretty damn good. I got the 50 in there, and it is so far off I cannot align it. I mean, I can't get it by switching from 10.7 to 10.8 to 10.6. So I'm going to try and align it with the slug. I'm not quite sure which one it is, the top or the bottom. I'm not sure. It's got to be the top slug here. Let me see if I can zero this. I tried the bottom. Yeah, there we go. That got it into the range. And that is just as hypercritical as the capacitor. You turn it just 1 degree and it makes a huge difference. See, that's the problem. That capacitor had drifted, the one that was in there. The silver mica one. And yeah, maybe I could have aligned out around it, but I'm going to go up to 10.8, 10.7, 10.6, 10.6, 10.7, 10.8. Look at that, almost perfect positive to negative. Very happy, smile, sunshine. Now I should probably align the other one real quick. The bottom. I think I got to peak it. This is the bottom one, so I moved back. I want to peak this. Wow, that was way off too. Let me go back to the other meter. It's a lot easier. I'm peaking the bottom. Okay. Now I'll go back and zero the top. And now I'm going to re-zero the top. Okay, I'm going to go 10.7, 10.8. Wow, look at it. Look at how high it goes now. 10.7, 10.6. Wow. 10.5, 10.6, 10.7, 10.6, I'm sorry. 10.7, 10.8. Nice.
Internet-enabled device to support KCRW. Go to kcrw.com.
You're falling in love with the invasive pest spotted lanternflies. From Peter Gross.
Refused thousands.
Paranoia if Jacobin is really following you. Download the Odyssey app. Hey, you.
Disfruta todo el sabor sin fin.
How it will be. There's one for you, 19. 98.7.
It's a new alternative.
Oh, 98.7.
So when you get that final stage dialed in, that's what all the distortion was about. When you get that final stage dialed in, and that's what I did. I went with the 50 picofarad right there. When you get that sucker dialed in, all the distortion goes away. So now what I still have to do is I still have to go back, replace these capacitors, the rest of them, and then realign it. This is very time consuming. I would allow 2 full days to do this. I've done several before, but I'm sort of rusty at it, but still it's very time consuming to do this and get it right, because you're going over and over and over and over your work. Back to our AM/FM silver mica disease treatment radio. It took me a few weeks, but I found what I believe are the exact perfect capacitors for the FMIF. Took me a minute to find them, but these are 25 picofarad Sangamo half picofarad tolerance, which would be what, 2%? 300 volt. They're actually pretty small. I guess I still need to remove, on this one we ended up with a 24 and 25, we're pretty close. I guess I still need to remove these and see where they're adjusted. But I'm going for, hopefully all 4 of them are 25 picofarad. Now these are expensive. These style, now if you buy this style off DigiKey and 1%, they're like $26 a piece. So these mica capacitors have gotten real expensive. I mean, you're talking, what, $200 to recap this thing just in parts? I'm going to hot swap these two. I got the signal generator there. That's where our voltage is. Just look at the bottom. It's right on -5, just for reference. Just doing a comparison. Well, there's the first one, and I know lead length is a thing. It acts as a gimmick, but look at how close we are. I think these are going to work. Let me do the other one. Got the second one swapped in, and we did lose a little bit there, but we should definitely be within our adjustment range on the cores. So I'm going to say those were definitely 24, 25 picofarad. That's real close. So I'll go back and I'll switch these two, and then we'll align it using the cores all the way through, and it'll be done. Then I can suffer with the dial cord. All right, all of our capacitors are installed. There's the Sangamo 25 for the FM, and these are not easy to solder in, I'll say that. I gotta so take a look at my soldering here. I think I got it in there okay. Yeah, those will hold. It's not easy. You want to keep the lead length as short as possible, and it's not easy. So we got all of our capacitors replaced. It's alignment time. We'll do the cores now. I don't know if I need to go back and do the zeroing the thing or not. Wow, that's pretty damn good. Let me pull out of here a little bit. Let's see. Okay, we'll take 10 dB off of it. Let's align this one first here. Damn, that was right on. Okay, well, we're at the bottom. Let's do this one. Damn, that was right on, too. All right, now let me get to the top. All right, we'll do this one first. Right here. Damn, that one was right on, too. Boy, I got these capacitors dead on. Okay, let's do the front one. Oh, we're good here. It was perfect. These are our discovered values. This is what we ended up with. And let me say this, they're not going to be the same on the set you're working on, so you need to figure out the appropriate ones for your set, because they're never the same. So the FM was 25, 25, 25, 25. And then 50 here. This one did not exist on this set, so we only had 150. On the AM, 130 on the primary, 100 on the secondary, 130 on the primary, 100 on the secondary. So definitely not the same. They are on the FM, but not the AM. And the final detector transformer, of course, is different. So those were our discovered values. Turn the fluorescent light off.
Next, but I'm about as big as it gets. I swear y'all just wasting y'all breath. I'm the light skin, keep sweat.
Oh yeah.
Culture that enriches Southern California and our nation as a whole. As a personal injury lawyer right here in Southern California, I'm honored.
Oh yeah. It's a marvelous. There's channel 6.
Kia Soul LX 2024 con arrendamientos de 24 meses por tan solo $195.
Okay, that's K-Jazz. Tuning condenser's a little dirty. This is a real low efficiency speaker, and I'm sure these tubes are tired. What I was going to do is I was going to change the 6T8. I was going to hook the two resistors up and show you how the detector diode output final tube changes the alignment. Any tube changes the alignment, but the double diode, the 6T8 in this case, really changes that zero balance. So this thing is done right, and you can just tell it's done right by how good it works. Except did I kill AM? Stand by. Yeah, I've got a cold solder here. That's an easy fix. All right, we're good here. I just need to do the dial string. I don't need to torture everybody with that, and then we'll take a look at it working in the cabinet. It works real good. You can tell we got it right. This is a show on KCRW called Metropolis. It's EDM. It's Jason Bentley is the DJ. You can listen to this online. You can stream it or download it anytime. It's a 2-hour EDM show, house. It sounds really clean. And this is right off the air. Of course, this thing doesn't have enough power. I just want to crank the hell out of it. And this old inefficient speaker I found just doesn't cut it, because this needs to be loud with a lot of bass.
Metropolis on a Saturday night. I'm Jason Bentley. Music from Disclosure's latest album, Alchemy. This is called A Little Bit. New Jungle with Joy Anonymous for a version of Back on 74. I do want to take a moment out of the mix to raise some money for public radio KCRW. It means so much to us. You can keep connected to the fabric of Los Angeles through the music and the culture programming, of course, the news from NPR, all that KCRW does for you and your day. Do it for Metropolis. Really, there's no other radio program quite like this. If you enjoy the mix of global sounds, international dance, and electronic music.
So it's been on for 2 hours, and there's been zero drift. So we got this one done right. This is a solid fix. Here's the dial cord. And I found the best way to do these is to use crimp connectors, the end off of a crimp connector, and crimp the wire like this, or crimp the string in between two crimp connectors. Okay, we got it all back together here. Turn it off so you can see the internal light, the beauty. This speaker needs to be replaced, and these speakers don't sound very good. But we'll give a little demo here. I'm in a metal building which has very, very bad reception. It's almost like a Faraday cage. It pretty much kills all signals.
He wakes up today, and the subject is, why does he keep giggling?
And I don't have an antenna on it either.
Here's to keep online reviews crystal clear.
Team, I know we're hustling, but watch for streaks. Candace, can you give me a hand over here?
I'm the dad, and the dad's responsible for doing what he believes is best for the child. So I can't let you do that because I don't think that would be good for you.
No, the state is
and sometimes I might make a mistake.
If you need to lose 50 pounds or more, the team at West Medical is ready to help you.
Justin and Haley Baber celebrated their 5-year anniversary with some extravagant bling. New York jeweler Alex Moss, known for creating luxe pieces for stars like Drake.
Being affected, and all of a sudden they've awoken to the problem.
The proper gaming codes that apply to holy matrimony.
Turn the lights off and see if it gets rid of that. No, it did not. Where'd my light bulb go over here? There we go. Now we're looking classy. Got to get those light bulbs on. There's just a lot of noise in this building. It's an old metal building. It blocks the signals, AM, FM, everything, and there's a lot of noise like this.
Your prayers help put an end. So, los fondos de inversión, etcétera, para eso estamos. Así es que el teléfono es el 1-800. Forever here. So if you're coming up that 2, you're going to be forced onto the... They'd be saying that about anybody. Yeah. But
It's working very good. I know it doesn't sound good, but trust me, it's...
At the San Diego Zoo, we believe in real superheroes. The ones who don't have superhuman strength.
It's funny. This is K-Jazz, of course, and this is probably period sort of correct for this when it was new. This is what I would have expected to hear out of this thing. Anyway, silver mica IF disease, IF silver mica disease. It's popular. Get with it. That's how to treat it. That's a long video on how to treat it, but that's effectively treating a permanent cure for it. Oh, yeah.